is make a call and sell it either way, regardless of whether or not you're right or wrong. Bonus free throws. Bonus is the second free throw awarded for a common foul. So once we get to 17 fouls, the offense it won't always be the offense. Whichever team was fouled, the other team has 7 fouls, that team will start shooting 1-1 until they get to 10 team fouls on the other team. The exceptions for that are if I'm on offense and I charge a player control or a team control foul, that is my 7th team foul. The other team does not shoot. It has to be the team that gets fouled has to be in possession of the ball for it to be a 1-on-1, unless it's a loose ball. That's really. If it's an offensive or a team control foul, you don't shoot free throws.
The player controller.
Player control, yeah. So on 10 team fouls, you shoot 2 free throws, and that just goes on for as long as they keep fouling. Point 3, so like a charge still counts as a team foul even though they won't shoot if they're in the bonus. Technical fouls also count as team fouls. So if you like foul somebody and then get a technical, that counts as 2 separate fouls.
One thing I was going to add with this is to be in communication with your scorekeepers about this. You know, every so often ask them what's the team foul count, so then you're aware that, you know, whenever a certain team reaches 6th or 7th foul, then you can know when you need to be shooting free throws. In the same sense, I got a question. So do personal fouls reset at the half? No. Do team fouls reset? Yes. So make sure that your scorekeeper understands that too.
Boundary lines, just your out of bounds lines. When the ball is in the court, stepping on or dribbling the ball on the out of bounds lines is out of bounds. If a player is in contact with the ball and any part of their body is on the line or out of bounds, then the ball is out of bounds and goes to the other team. One interesting rule that I recently learned was that when you're throwing the ball inbounds, the out of bounds, like the black line that is out of bounds line is out of bounds, and when you're throwing it in, like you're allowed to step on that line as long as you don't cross over into the court. So like you can step on the black, but as soon as their foot touches any part of the like inbounds place, which is on the other side of the black, then it'll be a violation for stepping over the line on an inbounds play. So you'll see like they can actually step on the line as long as they don't go over it.
That's only when inbound.
Only when inbounding it.
Yeah, if you're already inbounds and you step on the line, you're out.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, that was a really nitpicky rule. Probably just forget what I said.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
Also, as we talked about yesterday, how Wolin courts are so small and the reason we have our backcourt as the free throw line extended, also make note of where your boundary lines are. For example, on the courts at the end, 5 and 6, they get a little bit smaller than courts 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So some people, when they're shooting a 3-point shot around on the edge, they're out of bounds. So you can also let the captains know, like, hey, check these courts out, you know, kind of give them a heads up that the courts are small so you don't have to call them constantly. But that's something for you guys to make note of as well, to make sure that you know, you're checking for that and not just watching the ball when it's being shot. You're checking to see if they're inbounds as well. Okay.
Closely guarded, we talked about it several times already. Anytime a defender is in a legal guarding position within 6 feet of the person with the ball, whether they're holding or dribbling it, you have your 5-second count. That's a good thing to get in the habit of, because you don't want to like forget to be doing your 5-second count, and then somebody gets trapped and is there for 3 seconds, and then you start your count, and then people are going to be pissed. that you didn't call 5 seconds because you weren't keeping up with your count. Closely guarded can't happen in the backcourt, so the team gets 10 seconds to bring it across the mid-court, half-court line. So like even if they get trapped in the corner, they like inbound it, and then get trapped. There's no closely guarded call on that. They just have 10 seconds to get it across.
Hey, y'all, let me mention something real quick. If y'all could like sit up, if you're not asleep, a lot of people are acting like they're asleep or looking like they're asleep. Y'all get paid for this, so basically if you're asleep right now, you're sleeping on the job, and that's grounds for termination. So, heads up.
Continuous motion. I'll try and talk in a more animated voice. I know I'm very monotone. Continuous motion. This applies to both tries for field goals and free throws. This is just like if they're in the act of shooting, that is, we give them continuous motion. If they get fouled as they're going up for a shot, then we let that follow through. If the basket's good, we count it, and then they get one free throw. This is a judgment call. It'll be up to you. We don't call it like the NBA where if they get fouled and then take 2 steps and then shoot it, the foul's on the floor. It's if you see them going up for a shot, you let the play finish, and if the basket's good, you count it. Control player and team. Whew. So you have players in control of the ball if they're holding the ball or dribbling it inbounds. So during jump balls, there's no player control. Yeah. This is really confusing. Sorry. Teams in control. So team control, whenever the team has it and they clearly have possession of it, you lose team control if it gets knocked away. Like if you're dribbling and somebody knocks it away, your team no longer has control. Once they shoot it, they no longer have control. So like if you take a shot and then this will happen sometimes. You take a shot, ball's in the air, and then a ball comes in from the other court. Actually, we honor that, don't we? They took this out before. Okay.
Yes.
So ball's in the team shoots it, and as they take their jumper, a ball comes in the court like right underneath everybody, and you blow it dead. That we count the basket if it goes in, and if it doesn't, then we give it. If it doesn't go in, does the team keep it that shot it, or we do a jump ball?
No, I just keep it. Yeah.
Okay. So if the ball doesn't, so if like shoot it, blow it dead while it's in the air, then we give it, and it doesn't go in, we give it back to the team that shot it. So teams can only call timeouts when they have team control of the ball, or the ball is out of bounds.
And like we said yesterday, who has to call a timeout? Player on the court.
Court areas, we already talked about this. Backcourt is until you get to the mid-court line, or the
Division line.
the division line. Oh yeah. Half court. And then it goes back to free throw line extended. Disqualified player. This is somebody who fouls out, 5 fouls, 2 techs, or a flagrant foul, or any combination. Goodbye, listen. Dribble! That's when you dribble the ball and it bounces and you're in possession of it. You have to keep your hand on top of the ball or on the side of the ball. They can't take the ball and put their hand underneath it and lift it over. That is called a carry. The biggest one where you're going to see that is when somebody starts to drive and they'll scoop their hand underneath it to come across, like to have better control of it. So you want to look out for that.
And we call that what? A carry, but
Oh, yeah,
how we stop the clock?
Violation.
Violation.
Violation. And then you
Everybody
got
show
the-
violation. Woo! Okay.
Once the player starts a dribble, then they can like I don't know where I was going with that. Then they can continue to do it if they want to, and then they can stop if they want to. During interrupted dribble. Yeah, I'm sure.
This is why it's important for you all to read through this on your own too, because it can be very tedious information. That's very important you understand it.
Okay, so dunking or stuffing, whichever you prefer to call it. I think stuffing is a more popular term. Not sure though. You can only do that during the game. They can't do it during warm-ups, and they can't do it after the game. It is a technical foul. Early in the season, make sure to warn them. I wouldn't throw out a tech on the first game of the season. Tell them, hey, make sure you don't dunk. But once you get, especially like third game of the season in the playoffs, they know by now. Most of them already know anyway. You can give them a technical. I got a technical from Mike Diaz because I jumped up and grabbed the rim because I thought I was cool during halftime, and he gave me a technical.
Alex, did you?
So is that like not on the like captain's test or like
It should be, yeah.
What's
But the issue with that is like we can say these things to our captains and have them take the quiz, but some captains aren't as good as others to where they don't relay anything to their teammates. So, we can do that and help them out by, just kind of warning them all. I like to kind of just give a heads up to the entire team with things like that.
Goaltending. Yes, question.
How would you penalize somebody for dunking after the game? Like, what would you do?
What did you say?
How
After
would
the
you
game?
penalize somebody for dunking after the game?
You'd still record it just like another. Obviously the game's over, so the other team wouldn't get free throws or anything like that. But they would record it the scorekeeper would record it just like another technical foul, and it would affect sportsmanship.
Also, they get 3 spankings.
What if it's a 1-point game? Like 1-point game, and then the team that just won.
It's the buzzer.
So
After
They already won.
after the buzzer, the game is over, but you still have the reason that you can still give still give a technical foul is because you still have jurisdiction. The way that it's written, you still have jurisdiction until you leave the facility. But since we have multiple games back to back, you have jurisdiction until they leave the facility.
later pick up you have 2 shots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still like 4.
Yeah.
If that was their third technical of that game, would they have to enforce it?
It's a good question. I would not forfeit the game. I would still record it, but I would definitely let it affect their sportsmanship.
So, playoff game.
Yeah.
All right, so goaltending. Once somebody shoots it and the ball is coming down, you're not allowed. The defense is not allowed to interfere with that. Same thing. Neither team. Same thing like on layups. If they go up and after it hits the backboard and the ball is above the rim, if they pin it against the board or hit it after it's hit the backboard, then that is a goaltend, and basket counts. So you would blow your whistle, call a goaltend, and then you say like basket counts. Your sign for basket counts is going to be this, or any sort of downward sharp motion. There's room for personal flair there if you choose.
Make sure that you make this signal or turn to your scorekeeper and say basket counts. That's an important one. Again, communication with our scorekeepers.
Okay. Guarding. What's going on? We talked about legal guarding position. As a defender, you're entitled to the space that is right here around you, and as long as you are sliding in front of the offensive player that you're guarding, you're entitled to that position.
Let me emphasize something real quick. Sorry to interrupt. All of this information is something that you all need to read through carefully. So a while ago, you heard me say, that was really country of me a while ago. A while ago, you heard me say, so the defender did not have to have both feet on the floor. This says, it doesn't say to be in a legal guard, it says to obtain an initial legal guarding position. You have to have both feet on the floor. Meaning, in order to start my legal guarding position, I have to have both feet on the floor. I can't be like running down like this and then slide in front of them. I have to obtain my initial legal guarding position, and then in the midst of my slide, I don't have both feet on the floor, but I'm still in legal guard position.
Yes, all of these bullet points are very specific, so you should definitely read over them. I'm not going to go over all of them right now. Held ball, that's jump ball. Whenever two teams both have hands on it. This is a judgment call. I would say about a second with both teams having simultaneous possession, hands on the ball. You call a jump ball, you get your hand up and then go here for a jump ball. And that's when you go to the alternating possession era that you look at the score table for. Oh, yeah. So, like, one call you'll have is if somebody's going up for a layup or a shot, and they go up, and then the defender's right there, and they have their hand on top of the ball and keep them from shooting it, and then the offense comes back down to the ground. That is a held ball or jump ball. If the offense retains possession the whole way through, and then comes out with the ball, but the defense like had a hand on it or stopped them from shooting the ball, that is a jump ball. Player location.
The player location is important whenever you're determining where the throw-in spot is going to be, or where the pretty much where the throw-in spot is going to be. So basically, if you have any foul or violation that occurs outside the three-point line, there's a diagram for it, but just for verbal purposes. Outside of the three-point line, you're going to go to the spot, the out-of-bounds spot that's closest to where that foul or violation occurred, as long as it's a non-shooting foul. That's where the throw-in spot's going to be. If it's inside the three-point line, then it's going to be down by the lane, closer to the basket. Does that make sense?
Screens. So when a player on offense is setting a screen for another player, they can set their screen. They have to be stationary. They get the distance like shoulder width apart. They can't stick their elbows out. They can't like stick their knees out as the person runs by. All of those would be team control fouls, which would be foul. You do this motion, and then you get a block, and then you go report it to the table. The time and distance thing is very important. You can't come set a screen right behind somebody. So like if I'm playing defense this way, Tori can't come and stand right behind me and set a screen. She can set a screen to the side of me, but you have like the defenders has to be able to see the person who is screening them, has like a reasonable chance to see them. If I'm just oblivious and Tori's right there, that's fine. But you're not like setting up the defender to get run over or to run into a wall. Shooting, try. Shooting is when they shoot the ball. That's pretty much that there. Also, like when the offense is trying to tap it back in, still considered a shot. So if they get fouled trying to tap the ball back in, that is a shot, and they would get 2 free throws. Yeah. Throwing, I feel like you guys should probably know that. Verticality.
It's a big one.
This comes back to the legal guarding position. The defense is entitled to all the space that is right here when they're in a legal guarding position, and that also means up here. So the defense is allowed to put their hands straight up. It doesn't matter if the offense jumps into them and their hands are straight up. Like that is not a foul on the defense. However, defense cannot reach their arms over. So if you're here and the offense makes contact with that, this is not in your plane of verticality, so that is a foul. Yeah, also they're allowed to jump. So like you can go straight up and they're still allowed to jump and they're still entitled to all that space too.
Someone asked the question, this is in number 5 right here. Someone asked the question yesterday about the arm bar for the offensive player. This is when they're creating space. That's an offensive foul. They're in the air and then create space like that with their arm. It's an offensive foul.
That's all I got.
Okay, so basically the official score is the score on the score sheet. So just make sure that your scorekeeper has the right score throughout the whole game. If you notice that they haven't recorded, a goal or something, you can stop and tell them you missed 2 points. So a goal is made when the ball goes to the basket, obviously. No goal is scored if someone just throws it from a throw-in and it goes in the basket. And then whether the clock is running or stopped has no influence in the counting of the goal. So if the clock is expired, obviously the goal is not going to count.
What's the signal for a 3-point attempt? 3-point make. All right, and what should you do? Here's the line right here. Here's the line. I'm stepping barely over the line. I shoot it and make it. What should you do? You don't have to do anything because this is the make. But if you don't do anything and the scorekeeper's looking at you confused, then do like that.
If a player control foul occurs after a goal, the goal is canceled. So that's in the case of a charge or an offensive foul, and the offensive player shoots and makes it, the goal will not count. So just wave it off. And then 3 points and 2 points. We already went over that. Okay. Games will consist of 2 20-minute periods. Like we said, the first 18 will run, the last 2 will stop. Did we go over the whole 40-point thing? Do I need to go over
You don't have to
this?
go over overtime right now. We did it.
Okay,
We can
clock
do clock
stoppage.
stop.
Okay. So in the last 2 minutes of each half, the clock is going to stop, and it's going to stop on these cases. So if you call a foul, if there's a jump ball, or if you call a violation such as a travel or a carry.
Let's go over those signals real quick. What's a foul signal? What's the held ball signal? What's violation signal?
Okay, it'll also stop if there's injury, and we talked about it yesterday. If you feel like the game needs to be stopped, go ahead and stop it. Or if the offense is going to gain an advantage off the injury, you need to stop the game before they get that advantage. And then, like I said earlier, if you think the score is wrong or you think the time is wrong, you can always stop the clock yourself and go over to the scores table and tell them, I think you need to add so-and-so points or take away so-and-so points. If someone calls a delay of game, such as if they need to throw the ball in and the other team kicks it down the court, you can stop the clock for that. And then obviously for an emergency. And then if someone calls a timeout, it has to be on the court, and you can acknowledge that, and they'll get 3 per half. So just let them know, or 3 per game. Sorry.
If the other team keeps knocking the ball after they make it in, warn them once, and then if they do it again, give them a technical for delay of game.
A single timeout should not exceed 1 minute. It's usually just your judgment, whatever you feel like. If you feel like it's time to go ahead and go. You don't have to sit there and count out exactly a minute. Most teams will probably just go out to the court when they're ready, and it's usually less than 1 minute.
Sorry. I don't know what I
Restarting the clock. So what you're gonna do is, during the first 18 minutes, the clock's gonna be running unless there's a timeout. So to restart the clock, what you're gonna do is you're gonna hand the ball in, you're gonna hold your hand up, and whenever they throw it in and the first person to touch it, you're gonna chop the clock. You'll do that also under 2 minutes. You make sure you do that because that's how the scorekeeper knows when to start the clock. So just anytime there's a dead ball and you're gonna have to, the clock's gonna stop and then start again, make sure you chop it. And then on the free throw, if you shoot it, if the offense shoots it and they miss it and the clock is stopped, the clock's going to start immediately when someone touches it.
As an official, it's usually a good idea. Whenever you're within the 2 minutes, whenever you're watching the clock, whenever it's starting and stopping, that you look at the clock, glance at the clock whenever it stops, and also when it starts to make sure that it's going correctly. So say you chop the clock in, you're looking at the clock and it hadn't started yet. You need to blow it dead. Go to the scorekeeper, say, be sure to watch my hands, start the clock whenever we're ready. If they haven't started at all, then you just leave it where it is and do the throw in again. Say they started it early, say the other team rolled it, nobody's touched it yet, but the clock stops. What do you do? Yep, stop. Say the clock was at 19.6 seconds. Can you reset it to that? And then you'll redo the throw in.
And then good practice to practice chopping the clock is just do it during the first 18 minutes as well. I know it'll seem pointless